All right, we're on. So, welcome to another new episode of Seven Figure Screw Ups. And today I have an absolute pleasure of having Carl Mattiola on the show. Hey, Carl, how's it going?
Hey, man, it's great to be here.
Great to see you again. We haven't talked in a while. So,
I know.
how do I introduce Carl? So, Carl is one of the people that I look up to when it comes to online business and info products. He also used to coach me. I was part of his mastermind as well. But what he's doing in his business is basically helping private physical therapy practice owners with their marketing. So he and his business partner, Chad, have an absolute kick-ass in this area and have built a multi-million-dollar business helping PTs with their marketing. So Carl knows a thing or few about software as well. He's really big on info products, and he's also a friend. Is that a fair way to introduce you?
Sure, man. Yeah, sounds awesome.
All right, good. So let's talk about failures and screw-ups. So before we do that, I'd like to ask you, where were you in life, in general, in business, before the screw-up happened?
Before the screw up that we're going to talk about, I had the business started. I had started a few businesses actually prior. It was just probably a year or a little less than a year into starting the information business that I started, Breakthrough PT Marketing. We were doing well. We're doing really well. The information side was pretty mature, or becoming mature, and we were looking to add a back-end product. At that point, we probably had, 4 or 5 employees, and we were focused pretty hard on growth in that market, and we had traction, so it was working well.
Got it. Were you already past the 7-figure mark at the time?
Yeah, for sure.
Got it. All right.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, so your business is mostly focused on info products. So there is a course, and there is also a monthly membership. And at that time, so as you said, you had already 5 employees and things working well. So basically, things working well. Business growing, everything's fine. So what happened next?
Yeah, so it was interesting. So it was basically I was talking to my customers. I was thinking, I was hearing, which I do a lot, and is the right way to do this, to launch a product, and listening to what their problems were beyond what we were already teaching. They wanted a lot of help implementing the stuff that we were teaching them how to do. So I did like I normally would do and listened to what they wanted, but, I underestimated what it was going to take to deliver what they were asking for. And just because I hadn't been part of a business like that before, I was kind of pure software or pure information and had never dealt with any type of service stuff. So we offered, to really bend over backwards for people. And when you get involved with a services business, which is basically what we were promising to do, was, work like a marketing agency for them, help them get their direct mail out, help them with, email and get their website set up, and just we're offering to do a lot of different things at a, really too low of a price. It was still a high price point, but it was too low of a price, even for what it was, in order to deliver what we needed to deliver. And on top of it, I just didn't have any experience in delivering that type of service at all, and just kind of overlooked it.
So just to clarify, so you have a pure info products business with a software component where basically they can take what you teach. So physical therapy practice owners can take what you teach, implement in their offices, their practices, and
Right.
improve their marketing and increase the number of patients or referrals, right? So now you basically want to grow the product, you do a research, and you figure out they need help with implementation, like done for you kind of service, right?
Yeah, just some of the main components to what we taught, we were trying to help, help them with by doing it for them.
So it's like, oh, it sounds like a great way to grow, right? You can charge.
Oh yeah, it is. And a lot of people are successful at it, but it did not work out for me.
Okay. So what happened? So how come that it didn't work? Because you listen to your customers. They say, well, we don't have time or skills or bandwidth to implement. And now you come in.
Well, what did work was selling it. So, I mean, I had no problem ramping it up, brought in a whole bunch of extra revenue, and brought on more staff to handle this. And so, like, we were able to sell it, but we were just, delivering it was a nightmare because we didn't have the communication systems in place necessary to work with these people one-on-one. I underestimated the amount of back and forth it would take to deliver all the different components. Like, we were doing a lot of different things. And essentially what we became was like, I can't remember how many people we brought onto the program, but we also sold it. Like, we also grew too fast. So because we had such a big business prior, it was really easy for us to sell this. So we brought a whole bunch of clients on, I think 20 or 30 at once, into a done for you product. And like, it was just, we were screwing things up with them. There was a lot of mistakes. I mean,
do you have remember any story or the main, sorry to interrupt you.
I mean, just like, I remember getting, like, we were making mistakes at an operational level of delivering things for people that were as bad as, like, getting people, like, sending emails out for people with the wrong name, and like, like, screwing up, the process of putting their newsletter together to the point where, it would be easier for them to do it themselves. Like, so we were just not helping the situation in a lot of cases, and some we were, but like, we weren't able to deliver a good product based on what we said we were going to do. And part of that was because everybody wanted a lot of things customized, and we were trying to offer this at, like, something that they could afford. And it just didn't work well at all. I mean, what ended up happening was, like, we had to decide to shut the whole thing down. We had to tell everybody that we weren't going to do it anymore. And, it turned into a success in the long run because I was able to take what I learned from it and turn it into a different product that's actually priced higher and only delivers one component, but does it in a way better job of what we were doing there. So,
and I want to drill into that. So you basically offered it at a lower price, you sold well, you weren't able to fulfill, and it was also a new business model, right?
Yeah, it was it was just something we didn't have any experience. Like, I had no experience in it. I just figured, this can't be that hard. Figure it out. But
so how is that different from a model of selling info products? Like, I understand that new business model is also part of the pain, right?
How is it different?
Yeah.
I mean, the fulfillment is different. Mm-hmm. That's the only part that's different, but it's drastically different because it's people intensive. If you're running an agency, which some people do really well, like, a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about that we stopped doing, we now refer out to other people to do for us, and they do a great job just because they're used to running businesses that are like, okay, like, I'm going to work with this person one-on-one, I'm going to build out what they ask, and they have processes and systems and the manpower to do it. Whereas we didn't at all, I mean, there was 5 of us. And even when we ramped up, it just didn't work out. I'm confident it could have, but what came out of it was a million times better. So.
Oh, right. So interesting that you say, because a lot of people in info products, online business, talk about the value ladder, right? Mm-hmm. So how can you help our customers at the highest level possible? So it sounds like you went there, but it didn't work for multiple reasons. As you said, a different mindset, different pricing, different everything, first system. So now you said that basically that turned out into something and morphed into something that is way more profitable and easier to fulfill at the level that you want to be, like, in terms of quality, right? So
Yeah, so I mean, I just looked at all the things we were doing to help practice owners, and the things that I was doing for, I had tested out in Chad's office, and I just looked at what worked the best, and it was basically doing what I do well already online, and built out funnels to help get people patients and run traffic to them. So, but 100% online, and teaching them to use it and teaching them to do the rest. So yeah, we were able to build a really cool SaaS product at a really high price point because it delivers a ton of value. Um, and essentially what it is it's an online funnel to attract people with back pain, and we run traffic into it for them. So it's really easy. It's not customized in any way whatsoever for any customer. They all get the same exact thing. It's very cookie cutter, but they don't care because they trust that we're the experts and we know what we're doing. So as long as we're sending them, as long as we're just sending them customers, essentially, they're never going to complain because they're getting a huge ROI. So it's really, yeah, it was a game changer. Fits my style way better because we can scale it like crazy with a smaller team. And that has gone extremely well. So the way we pivoted the mistake is, before we shut that product down, I offered this product to all the people who were currently on it. Just about every one of them decided to move over. And we also kind of scheduled it out so that we were only going to bring, like, at first, 5, then 10 on, then, another 10. And even still to this day, we only bring on 30 every quarter into this product. So, yeah, learned a lot, but yeah, something huge came from it, which is going to be the biggest thing I'll be probably working on for the next few years. So,
Wow, that is phenomenal, solid. And I wasn't aware of that. So congratulations on that.
Thanks.
And it sounds like it's really important, especially if you're like 2 or 3 years out of the business, focus on your core skills.
Yeah.
Well, and you were doing software, you were doing online info products. So it sounds like that's kind of, you combined it well together in that new product, right? Which enables
For sure.
a much higher and bigger growth. One thing I didn't ask you though, during all these moments of screw ups and things falling apart, what was the impact on you and your partner Chad and everyone working with you?
I mean, we had an employee, a guy working with us, who took the brunt of most of this because we weren't actually doing the fulfillment of this in any way. We would step in when there were issues, and there were a lot of them, and it was really annoying because I hate to see people upset or not getting what we promised. So it felt horrible to do that to customers, and we had a lot of relationship equity, which is why it kind of worked out. Like people loved us and trusted us and knew we wanted to do the best for them. So like where there were screw ups, we were lucky because we had done a lot for people prior, but it still felt like shit doing that. And it was even worse for the employee we brought on to run the program or kind of manage the majority of the customer side of the program, because he was, on the phone, literally the marketing bitch of, a ton of different people all at once with no systems in place. And yeah, it was a nightmare. So we weren't happy.
I can imagine. It doesn't sound like it. One thing I also like to ask you is, I know you're also big on mindset, and I know you made significant shifts in your life and professionally, going from working at Tesla, a very famous company, to starting your own business and then growing and then finding a business partner. So how do you deal on a daily basis? Some of the tips of yours. How do you deal on a daily basis with fear of failure?
Man, so I think in the beginning for me, what was really important was just learning the concept that, your beliefs, are the filter that, you see the world through, and you can change them. And if you do, then you're able to really kind of be whoever you want to be in any situation. And so what was important for me was, especially like what I think entrepreneurship is, like kind of a way like to rapidly develop yourself, because it exposes, it puts you in front of a lot of situations that bring up a lot of shit like fear and whatnot. So what I did on a daily basis early on was just be as hyper aware of how I'm feeling in any moment. And if I ever felt any type of fear or anxiety, I would stop and try to dissect where that came from and write it down, and then eventually work through it. So I don't do this so much anymore because I've worked through most of the things. And today, you know, my daily practice to keep up with, you know, to keep myself stable is to just remember that. I kind of do it unconsciously. And I meditate daily. That is, I think, a really powerful practice to keep yourself like looking at what's happening to you and being able to separate what's actually happening and what you're feeling from the way you can think about it. It's hard to describe, but like
observer mind.
Exactly. You're really able to do that if you're doing it on a daily basis. So, and journaling helps as well. So I still do that every day as well. But early on, it was like I was spending a lot more time focusing on what these beliefs are, why I have them, and how to replace them, and what I want to replace them with.
Yeah. That is incredibly powerful, and I know a lot of people go through that, and I've been going through that as well. So as you said, you become more seasoned as an entrepreneur, so you're able to process that faster, let's say, or kind of accept that failures are to be expected, right?
Yeah, man.
All right, good. So one last question is, when can people find more about you and your business?
Cool. Yeah. So about me, they can find me on Facebook. They can find me. I have a website, a blog that I don't do much with, but I put emails out and whatnot every once in a while at carlmattiola.com. And the business is breakthroughptmarketing.com. So yeah, feel free to check us out and whatnot.
Got it. So okay, well, thank you so much for sharing the Screw Up story, and wish you all the success to you and Chad going forward. Bye.
Right on. Thanks, man.